Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start with a story from sysadmin in the early 2000s. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. As you give, so you shall receive. All this happened back in the early 2000s. I was a cocky little sysadmin contracted out to a large Dutch TV production company whose products are sold, produced, and broadcast worldwide. I was stationed at their main facility, a large studio and office complex where the majority of their Dutch-language TV shows were recorded. And to be honest, it was actually great fun to run into TV personalities all day, every day. Most of them were quite nice, in particular to the PFY who was trying to fix their MacBooks. Of course, every now and then you'd run into someone who was a bit arrogant, but I'd usually manage to get them to drop their attitude by just talking to them like a normal human being. Dealing with celebs is all in a day's work under such circumstances, and besides, you'd usually deal with them indirectly through their production teams. I seldom had to deal with the production teams anyway, as I primarily dealt with Mac-based workstations and servers, which never gave me any real troubles. Sometimes the odd Macintosh performer would pop a PSU capacitor or I'd have to zap the pram on a mail server. Piece of cake. But supporting Macs wasn't why I'd been contracted out to begin with. I was a Windows NT guy, and the company had decided they were going to switch to Windows. Now, to phase out 900 plus servers and workstations at once was a bit more expensive than the executives were willing to accept, so a compromise had been agreed upon. Until the last of the recently acquired iMacs reached end of life, they'd use Citrix to load a Windows Terminal Server desktop on each of the non-Windows clients. Seemed like a good idea, I guess. I was contracted to manage the transition from Mac OS to Windows. As it turned out, there were some troubles with the chosen combination of Apple Citrix Windows Terminal Server, troubles which ended up causing serious troubles on the entire network. The Citrix client crapping itself the moment someone pressed the wrong button, first-gen Macs were notorious for this, printers not working properly, and connections dropping due to Ethernet broadcast storms. There were days where the entire company ground down to a screeching halt. Needless to say, the employees were less impressed with all this, but I managed to keep their spirits up with my comforting voice when they called the IT department. Information department, this is SIBO NL, how may I be of service? So it was a Wednesday morning in September and all hell was breaking loose. Somebody pressed key A instead of B, or maybe Citrix had just crapped itself once more. Maybe the moon had risen in Virgo with Sagittarius ascending, or maybe the gods were just in a particularly foul mood that day. Whatever the reason might have been, the entire network had crapped itself and my coworkers were in the middle of rebooting the entire network. Servers, routers, switches, everything. In the meanwhile, I was manning the phone lines and explaining the situation to our irate user base. People were upset, of course, but I calmed them down, took their names and numbers, and promised I'd be in touch the moment their department could resume working. I also spoke to a girl from a particular production team, telling her the outage was global and I'd be in touch the moment we had a resolution. Her boss, C, from here, wasn't having any of it, so he decided to call us himself. The conversation went something like this. Me, Information Department, this is SIBO NL, how can I help you? C, are you a effing R-word? Me, excuse me? C, I asked you a simple question. Are you a effing R-word? Are you aware that my entire team is currently unable to work? Me, well, we are aware of the problem. They seem to be global, however. All production teams, as well as HRM and financials, are unable to work right now. We're doing the best we can, actually, but it may take about half an hour for the network to become available again. C. That is unacceptable, you son of a whore! All you IT a-holes are incompetent B-turds who should be taken out and shot in the back of the neck. Now I'm familiar with vulgarities and insults, but I had never been spoken to in such a manner by a coworker, of sorts, so I began to lose my cool somewhat. Me. Sir, please refrain from using insults. We're all in this together and this isn't helping. If you... C interrupted me. What? What? Are you trying to tell me what to do, you little F? I'll F your W mother, clueless imbecile. At this point, I really felt like returning the favor and laying into him. However, being an external contractor, I felt this would have constituted a clear CLA, career limiting action, so I instead responded by saying, "Sir, I'm no longer willing to continue this conversation in this manner. Please give me your telephone number and I'll get my manager to call you." The C proceeded to give me his telephone number, an 06 number. In NL, this indicates a mobile phone, still a relatively new thing at the time, but I still had to have a name. Me. Thank you. So, who can I tell her she should call? C. B-list celebrity. Of course. Indeed, of course. Like I said, most celebs were nice people, but as always, there must be one exception to the rule. C turned out to be a B-list TV personality, a middle-aged man widely known for being an obnoxious a-hole. This P started off as a paparazzo, got a celebrity gossip show on the TV, and at the time my story takes place, he was foraying into investigative journalism. Small-time crime mostly. He was given a production team, a camera crew, and sent out to produce his own take on crime stories, frequently getting his facts wrong and accusing completely innocent people of crimes they couldn't have committed. Other times he'd get his butt kicked due to him being an insufferable B-turd to suspects, which is never a good idea. But hey, the ratings were good. To this day, I think it's because everyone liked seeing him get beaten up by the criminals he confronted on a daily basis. He was known to be a drunk, a philanderer, and in general, one of the most hated people on Dutch TV. And now it turned out it wasn't an act at all. This was just the type of person he was. It all made sense to me now. Me saying, "Okay, I'll leave a notification on my manager's desk. She'll be contacting you shortly," but meaning, "I'm sure she'll get around to contacting your sorry, obnoxious, insulting butt and addressing your trivial crap the moment she's done overseeing the people who are trying to get the entire GD effing company back up and running," and hanging up. My coworker, a Bulgarian guy called Stoyan, was looking at me funny. "What the F just happened, Seb?" "Trust me, Sto, you don't want to know. I think I'm going to take the rest of the day off." And with that, I pulled the call logs and forwarded these to my manager together with a report of what happened and requests for callback and went home. The next day, business as usual. The day after that, my manager took me aside. She'd listened to the call, contacted the executives, and indicated that the C should offer apologies for his behavior. The executives had responded by saying that, while his behavior was unacceptable, he couldn't be forced to offer apologies. Instead, he'd promised he wouldn't contact our department again, sending his request through an intermediary from now on. So tough crap, SIBO NL. Just deal with it. F that. No effing way this P is getting away with this kind of bullcrap, so I went online to well-known-free-email-provider.com, register new address, new message, to 2 or 3 guys I knew who also had a lot of friends. "Hey guys, you know who I am, right? I've got a fun message for you. See this telephone number, 06XXXXXX? Dial it right now from a non-display caller telephone line and see who answers." See, that's B-list celebrity, who's well known for being an immoral a-hole, frequently bothering people for no good reason whatsoever. Remember the show where he rang the doorbell for 30 minutes at night at a house where 3 young kids were sleeping? Do you remember the show where he spent an entire afternoon following and harassing a young mother because her ex-boyfriend supposedly cheated someone out of a few $100? Well, let's see how he likes it. Feel free to forward this message to as many people as possible. Click send, log on to the proxy server, delete the logs, delete the browser cache, log on to the router, drop the offending records from the logs. That's it. I'd erase my trails to the best of my abilities, and let's see what happens next. 3 days later, I receive a request in my inbox. It turns out that somehow Crap C's mobile number had been made public and he's been called 2,500 times a day. Could we please arrange for him to receive a new number? Of course, I was forced to update my mass email and resend it the moment a new number was assigned, making sure to leave a grace period of about a week each time. They never found out it was me. You set the scene well. Good backstory, delightfully written content, building the pressure, evoking emotions in the reader's mind, and delivering a prank call punchline. Wait, what? You did it a second time? I'm starting a Mexican wave for OP. And our last story. Enjoy the challenge. I was working as a cook 2 summers ago in a remote hotel which offered its workers a room to stay. Commuting wasn't feasible. Mid-season, my boss left and a new boss came in from outside the company. Let's call him Dumbudo. Dumbudo fired almost everyone within the first fortnight. He kept 3 people in the kitchen, himself included, for 70 rooms plus events and such. I was the only one left who knew how to do breakfast, company style, but he wanted changes. Hey Dumbodo, would you like me to explain to you in detail how I've been prepping and serving breakfast so you can tell what to change? Keep doing them as usual. I'll chew you out if necessary. He didn't tell me not to prep so much as I'd been doing. Breakfasts are done on the fly, preps for spineless cooks. You'll know if you ever get to be as experienced as I am. So when the hotel was full, I almost couldn't keep up. It was both buffet and menu. Enjoy the challenge, was his answer when I told him. On top of that, I had to do extra work to help him and the other cook with desserts and such because we were so understaffed. So my shifts were approximately 12 to 13 hours each for the last month I worked there. The moment I saw my rota for the next month, 15 days doing breakfast, nonstop, 1 day off, and 10 more working days, I gave him my resignation notice. They owed me days off, so my resignation meant they had to let me go on my 12th day, the day before a wedding and a fully booked hotel. He begged me to extend my stay as a personal favor to him, and I said no. But it gets even better. I prepped as instructed, so next morning, just before he left, I went into the kitchen to get a coffee, and he came to me to complain about my prep while literally running through the kitchen to keep up. So I could remind him his rules were to try to do everything on the fly, no matter if the hotel is empty or full, and you have so much more experience than me, it should be easy. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.